Welcome to our next episode of The Fulfilled Being. We're here with my good friend Josh Waxman. Really awesome guy.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Josh is originally from Philly. Him and I met at University of Miami. And I remember walking to the frat house. I think I had just graduated, and Josh was sitting in one of the frat rooms, and we got to talking, and he opens up this journal of personal growth and development and started showing me all this stuff. And to be honest, I think that was one of the first times I was exposed to a lot of this personal growth and development, and just seeing someone 18 years old talking about all this stuff and really encompassing it into his life with a big smile on his face. It's a truly incredible experience. And ever since then, our relationship has grown. Yeah. You've grown from dropping out of University of Miami, moving to Philly, owning his own restaurant franchises, dealing with some hurdles along the way, making his way back to Miami, now doing big things in the lending business. But outside of business, just overall personal growth and development, following David Hawkins and letting go. Working with Jeffrey Combs, your coach, and now my coach, you introduced me to.
Yes.
So true inspiration. 26 years old, right? 26 years old, and really wise beyond your years, man. So
thank you.
And also forgot to mention the consciousness that you're doing the university course in consciousness. So we're excited to have him on, hear his perspective, have an awesome conversation. So thank you again for joining us, Josh.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited and grateful to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on. It's special.
Yeah. So Josh, first thing, thinking back to university and when I first met you, what got you on this journey?
For sure. I started working with my dad when I was a kid, and he was always waking up early, going to the gym, staying up late, and I looked up to him my whole life, and I still do. And when I first started, let's say middle school-ish age, I started doing things different than other people. I knew I wasn't doing normal things. I didn't like to do normal things. I was reading a lot. I was on the math team at school. I wanted to be a rabbi. I wanted to be at Lee's Hoagie House owning rabbi. I had all these dreams and aspirations, and my dad put me in front of some books. The first book he ever told me to read, personal development, was a good bridge book for any parents to get their kids into. It was The Winner Within by Pat Riley, because it was really about magic and the Lakers in the 80s and how cool it was, but it was also about leadership and creating a team, and I loved that. Then I read Jerry Garcia from the Grateful Dead, who I love, his autobiography, and I just started reading. And that was 8th grade, 9th grade, because 8th grade, I remember in Miss Smith's class, we had to read as many books as we could in a semester, and I was like, fuck yes. I was excited, amazing. And I was like, yes.
Really, I guess that's when I started. Different from the general trend. I mean,
so different, bro.
I remember myself, I dreaded books growing up, and
I think I was 15 or 18 books in a semester when I was in 8th grade.
Fuck, man.
And I loved reading that. And so then I started doing football and other stuff, but I really started getting serious when I was in high school and reading books a lot, doing football. I was very committed to football, very committed to business with my dad, and very committed to working on myself. And then I really, from that point, from 15 to when you met me, it was really just when I was 17, July 23rd, 2013, July 26th, 2013, I started a network marketing company this summer going into my senior year in high school. And we used to say it's a personal development company with a pay plan. And it was all about teaching personal development. And even though we were selling products, it really was a bunch of young, motivated people, obsessed with personal development. And so I would go over to my boy Matt's house at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning and watch videos on Tony Robbins and Les Brown and Gary Vee and all this shit. I'm 18 or 17. Yeah. And so then that year, I was very focused on that. I started reading a lot. I immersed myself, and I was 17 then. I met Jeffrey March 23rd, 2014. and then started college 3 months after that, or 4 months after that. So yeah, it was kind of how that evolved.
That was beautiful.
Super cool. Super cool. And I'm curious, like, what got you into it at such a young age? Like, in 8th, was it your dad? Because for me, like, the reason why I'm asking is, in my experience, there's a lot of pain
Yes.
that I personally went through in my childhood growing up. And when I was 19, there was a lot of things that happened where I was like, just had to do personal growth at that point, because I was like, dude, I need to get out of this, where the fuck this anxiety, fear is, you know? So I got into it from a lot of pain.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you have a different perspective of why you got into it.
I did get into it because of pain. My parents got divorced in August of 2009. I was 12 years old. And up until then, like for me, and my mom, dad, and sister's experiences are all different, but at least my experience was that from 0 to 12, everything was like awesome. And season tickets, we had season tickets to all the games, we went on vacation, so everything was cool. And then like boom, like dad started having to give money to my mom, and like he started stressing out. My mom and dad fought a lot, and like I was like, I need to get the fuck out of here. Like, and I just played football, worked my ass off, would stay after practice and just go through my footwork, like by myself on the field late. I would work for my dad on the weekends. I just was in that. I was very immersed in school. I liked school. I was doing work all the time. Yeah, so my parents getting divorced kind of put me into like, at the time, a painful, like quiet place where I like wasn't really open to sharing my feelings. I definitely wouldn't be able to talk about some of the things we'll end up talking about here, like deep stuff. And like I was not open to that for like 3-4 years, let's say. My mom, I remember actually, I don't know if I ever really told anybody this. I remember I'd be like 13, 14 years old, and my parents just got divorced. My mom would like sit on the end of my bed, like reading or listening to music, and she'd be like, please just talk to me. Like, please, like, how do you feel? I'm like, I don't want to share. Like, I'm not gonna do that. So I think I just immersed myself in doing shit, being great at football, being great at success. And like, it got to the point where like, hey, I don't want to ask, like, I'm gonna come, hey mom, can I get $20 to go to the movies? And she's like, yeah, go ask your dad, he makes all the money. I go, Dad, can I get $20 to go to the movies? Yeah, go ask your mom, I give her all my money. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do?
Got you.
So I'm just gonna go make money for myself. And I love you guys. I love my parents so much. We're really close, like, individually. But, like, fuck them for, like, being like, having to be dependent on them. Like, I'm, to this day, and from that moment on, probably, like, 16, 17 years old, just, like, yeah, once in a while, if I need something, of course, my parents will always be there for me. You know, like, when I first moved, they paid my first month of rent, and, you know, as a gift, I didn't ask her to, but, you know, stuff like that. But, no. Like, it definitely was all pain. And I just was very focused on Josh, and I want to be fucking great. My dad's great, and my mom's great too, and I just want to be better than them. Like, that's that childhood angst. Like, I want to be better than my dad. I want to make more money than my dad. I want to be this. I'm not gonna have anger like my mom. I'm not gonna do this like my dad. I'm not gonna do this like my mom, and I'm just gonna be fucking awesome.
Got you.
Yeah.
Have you felt like sometimes with letting go or transcending that you've had to work to get over some of those feelings?
Oh yeah. I mean, it still happens. Like, we just had Passover at my mom's. Like, but Jeffrey's taught me to neutralize situations, or like any guilt or stuff about dad or any conversations. When I was a kid, we'd get in a huge fight. Like, why are you siding with my dad, or why are you doing this? But like, no, it definitely, for years, all Jeff worked with me on is my relationship with my parents and my family. All he worked with me on. Had to not be responsible for Barry, my little sister. Even though I love her and I'll do anything for her and I'll give her everything for the rest of my life. Like, not to be responsible for how she is or have to take care of her. Not to be responsible for my mom and dad. Like, that was years of coaching. And how to neutralize it when my mom yells at me because I agree with my dad in this situation, what to say to her. And like, that was a lot. And then also I had to understand my dad, because like my dad was like an ineffable like hero to me growing up, but kind of fucked everything in my life up. Like, how to love him so much and understand and forgive. Like, I guess forgiveness, understanding, awareness, those are like Yeah, so it's all tied to pain.
What you touched on in regards to being responsible for other people's emotions, that's something I've been working through heavy lately. The Yair knows a lot about this and my growth, because I've always seen myself as a very empathetic person, sympathetic. Like I've sometimes in the past taken on emotions of the people around me, and it's helped in some senses to really be able to feel and understand where people come from. But it's been disserving me in some senses where I take on that emotion. It's like, that's not fair to me. It's not great for me or the person if someone's being fearful, anxious, and then all of a sudden.
So like, what's an example?
Like with Brittany, with my girlfriend. Like if she gets upset or annoyed, it doesn't make sense for me to take on those emotions, and it's also, I'm not responsible for that. So being able to really separate from that emotion and by not, and then I also don't really give into those emotions of other people, because it's their own responsibility to take care of that. Now I could be there to guide them and love them through the process, but if I feel like it's my responsibility, I will do actions to help avoid those emotions, which actually doesn't allow them to figure out their own emotions. It's not my so
it creates stress in the body.
It's stress in my body, and it reinforces those behaviors, those emotions, and actually isn't serving that person either.
Did you have to be responsible for other people as a kid?
Not really. No, that wasn't something for me. I feel like, but I think it's just been a natural tendency for me to be able to really feel other people's emotions, which has helped me a lot in business and other, like, I'm super understanding. But now I feel like I've become almost Superman in a sense, because I still have that skill, but I don't actually take on the emotion. And now I can, from the meditation, from the just being conscious, I can separate myself from it and really just look at it like from a high level perspective, and it's awesome. Like I'm growing so much, everyone around me is growing so much, and so it's been beautiful.
That's awesome. That reminds me of Eric Thomas. You know who he is? Eric Thomas.
I've heard
pop preacher. A big, cool shit black dude. And went to Michigan State, and like he's like a motivational. His motivation, like thank God it's Monday, dude. Whatever, he's awesome. When you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, and you'll be successful. You ever watch that?
I've heard that saying.
You know that?
I've heard that saying.
But whatever. Point is, like he talks about his, his mom left.
You want to breathe.
Then you'll be successful. But like when
I've heard that. Okay, I probably heard that guy then. If he's the one that says that.
That was actually my background on my phone for my senior year.
But that's hard. That's hardcore.
But no, he says like, my mom leaving me and being mean to me, like. No, like it was my biggest weakness, but it's also my biggest strength, like turning your strength or your weakness into your strength, turning your pain into motivation. And so when you talk about parents, divorce, or talk about any bullshit that happens growing up, it's not bullshit, there are events that happen. Any experiences that you have, whether it's a death, a divorce, or financial, whatever the fuck it is, like you are living in a state where you have to either decide to live in that pain or just live in the solution. So one thing I've realized recently is like with your empathy situation, because I was just talking to my friend about this, and let me know what your thoughts on this are. Like most people, like your greatest strength and weakness is your empathy, because you take on other people's emotions, which is not great for your stress, but it's amazing because you can give so much of your emotions. And mine is the complete opposite.
Same.
I'm great at leaving my family and going to Miami and saying, I love you guys so much, I'm going to call you once or twice a week, but like, sayonara. And I'm great at separating that and not taking on energies. However, other people might look at me and say you're selfish or you don't care about the situation or whatever, but it depends where you look at it. I wouldn't be able to be Josh the way that I am today if I didn't have that skill. And then on the flip side, I don't have that skill, and we've actually talked about this a lot. Like you're definitely more caring and right-brained and loving than I am, but I'm definitely more systematic and and that's okay. But that's just strengths and weaknesses.
It's a very interesting thing, because actually Brittany was a bit upset at me last night because of how I'm moving in this direction. Like to really, in order for me to do that, I've almost separated from some of these empathetic qualities in attempt to help myself and to really grow. But Brittany was talking about how that's been affecting her, because the me that she knows is the super empathetic one. So it's just an interesting thing that we all grow in life, and I'm super grateful for this growth, and we all morph in different ways, and I think it's important to be with people that understand that, and Brittany understands like what's going on, even though it could upset her. So it's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, it's powerful, because when you say that, like, a big resistance for me in the past up until now to change is like what my close people are gonna think. Because once we transcend, once we grow, it's like we're different, and then like you just said, you be less empathetic in that sense, and now she's so used to that, she has resistance. So
like close people that what close people are you referring to? Like
the people that for me that I spend the most time with. So
specifically who?
Evan and my girlfriend right now. They're the ones I spend the most time with. So yeah, that I'm seeing what Evan said. It's like but that's what we were talking about in the beginning. Is like that's her job to handle her own emotions and her own growth. Like he's doing his thing, he's transcending. She has resistance. Like that's great. That's why they're together.
Correct.
And put that in each other.
Yes.
In a way. So
absolutely.
That's the way I see it. And also when you guys are talking about like how you're very like easy to separate yourself and he's very empathetic, I feel like I'm in the middle. And I've been like, dude, it's been a balance, because I'm his business partner and he's like the friend guy. Like everybody loves him, and like he's like really good with the clients. Yeah, dude, I call them up and I'm like, all right, Evan's gonna call them, because I'm very like kind of like you in a way, with like I'm just very like I can be very to myself and just do my thing, and like if someone's in their freaking pain or suffering, I'm like, do you, man? I'm staying in my happiness, man. Like so it's interesting how we're all different and we're all connected.
So there's something that came up. So we were talking about our challenges and our struggles, and you're talking about your childhood and how that's helped you transcend. So I know you had a really big challenge, what was it, 2 years ago? Is it now? One or two, probably 2 years ago.
22 months ago.
22 months
Ooh,
ago.
He's counting the months.
22 months ago. So like I would love to hear now, looking back 22 months later, like how that experience has been, what you've learned from it, how you've grown, talk about like the emotional struggle that I'm sure that it was, like just an incredible thing that I think the listeners will appreciate, and Yair and I will really appreciate.
Sure. I haven't really talked about this a lot. I probably only talked about this to 5 people in the last 2 years, but I'm open to it because I know where I'm at in my life, and I'm okay with whatever interpretations this is meant with.
It's powerful.
That's powerful, man.
So I used to. Right now I've been off of social media for 22 months.
Beautiful.
And it's totally revolutionized my life. But before, I always wanted to be that guy. And so I tied a lot of success in the world today with like what you're putting out there and what you're giving. And my idea of somebody that's successful is someone that's giving and sharing and doing a lot for like running their successful business, and then also making videos, and Tony Robbins-ish, Grant Cardone-ish, Gary Vee-ish, right? And I love those guys, and I really do. And I've been studying them for 10 years. I want to be like them. But at the time, I was running my 2 restaurant franchises, which, long story short, left college to go do that in Philly. And I used to post all the time. I had a Waxman Weekly every Sunday at 9 o'clock. And it was a half an hour to an hour long, just personal development, coaching through Facebook Live. And then I also had Wake Up with Waxman every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I'd go meditate, go to the gym, come back, and be like, boom. And so it would range from anything on something I learned in David Hawkins to an experience that I had and how that shared me or affected me, or something going on with business, or teaching people about profit and losses and money and where money comes from and shit like that. And so one day I was reading Letting Go at the pool. Sorry, not at the pool. I wasn't here yet. Letting in my apartment. We'll get to the pool. In my apartment in Philadelphia. And at the time, I had 2 restaurants. I had just broken up with my girlfriend for almost 3 years. I was paying a lot of money in debt. And on the outside, like, I had everything I wanted as a kid. Like, I had my stores, I had a beautiful apartment, I lived where I wanted to live. And even though I was paying so much debt and not putting any money into my pocket, I had the cash flow in the business. I knew I was running a successful business. Like, I knew with time it would happen. So, on June 3rd, or let's backtrack a couple days, May 30th, 2020, a couple months after COVID, we're fucking dead. We have 50% capacity, restrictions in Philadelphia, COVID's crazy, I'm walking down the street not wearing a mask and I have random people yelling at me, and I'm like, what the fuck?
You're in the restaurant. I don't know, but Josh
running Philly cheesesteak franchises in Philly. I had one at Temple University, which is in North Philadelphia, which was a pretty rough area, but I was boys with everyone in the community. I did a lot of work with the schools in the community. I loved it. And then I had one in Center City, which was like my baby because I opened that one myself. And I was working at Center City by myself because I'm a fucking monster, and you've been there. Yeah. I can take the orders on the phone, write it down over here while I'm making a cheesesteak, and I'm awesome. I love that. I did it my whole life with my dad. But I was like, clothes were dead.
So your dad had some of these restaurants as well?
Yeah, my dad started working at Lee's Hoagie House in Abington, PA when he was in high school. And he became a manager, and I went to college in Hofstra in New York, and they called him and was like, yo, do you want to be a manager? Like, we have an open position where maybe you could become an owner one day. And so he did that. Okay. Just like I did. He left college early, went back there, and he owned that store after like 5 years. And then he opened up a couple more. So for me, growing up, my dad always had that. And that was my dream, is to grow these hoagie houses all over the country.
Wow.
And I was working by myself at Center City, at Lee's in Center City, and we were dead. And I was like, it's a Saturday night, I'm just going to close up early. It was like 6 o'clock, we're only open until 8. Like, whatever, I'm just going to go home. And I close up, and I walk outside, and I am like, what the fuck? The George Floyd riots are happening right in front of my face.
Oh, fuck.
I walk outside, so if you look at Center City, just like, let's call it like, whatever, there's downtown, and there's like, nice areas on the outside, but in the middle is like where, all the shops are, and like all the stores are, just like being like, imagine Lincoln Road. And so like my store is right off, like let's say my store's on Ocean Drive, and I have to walk down Lincoln Road to get to my house, which is on the other side of the beach.
Oh, okay.
In theory, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And right, so I'm in Philly, I leave my store, and I'm walking down Market Street and Chestnut Street where all the stores are, and there are thousands of people throwing bricks, running in, walking out with bags of clothes, laughing, smiling, with shoes from Foot Locker. Urban Outfitters is on fire, like flames. And people are running in, grabbing bags from behind the counter. I'm literally standing on the corner, holding my pockets with my phone and my wallet, and then just like I actually stood there for 30 seconds, like, oh my God. And then there were like cops and everybody's running, and there was it was like the fire hydrant was going off, cars were on fire, and I literally just like got run home. And then that was May 30th. So the next day, May 31st, happened to be my mom's birthday. So everybody's like, whoa, oh my God, I'm so scared. So like, all right, let's just close up. So we closed up. And I got a call from the police, because I always do stuff with the police, and I hooked them up. And like, yo, there's a brick through your window. So I looked through the videos, and like 10 little kids threw bricks through my window, stole all the sodas and chips, and tried to open up the cash register. It was locked. And so I boarded up my store.
Whoa.
Bro. And that's but everybody was. Like, at the time, everybody was boarding up their store. So I closed on Sunday, I did it with my mom, I had my manager stand there while they boarded up the store. And like, whatever, then we went to work the next day. Cool, so that happened. And Wednesday, like, it's dead. Like, there's nothing, like, no one is gonna walk around Center City. Yeah. And so I made a post on Facebook, and it went a little bit like this, not word for word, but pretty much. And then it comes straight from consciousness, but it was interpreted horribly, and it was the wrong time. And I said, when you live in a state of consciousness, a high state of consciousness, when you live in love and peace, you will no longer feel like a victim. You will no longer believe that there is is oppression and victimization and privilege, because everyone has their own oppressions, everyone has their own privileges, and everyone has their own stages of life. We all grow up in different places, we all have different experiences, we all live a different life, but we're all on the same path. And there's no love in rioting, and there's no peace in protesting. It's important that we start to live in the solution instead of living in the problem.
Ooh, bam.
I'm not going to fist bump you for that, because it fucked my life up.
Gotcha.
But it also created a new life for me.
Well,
but
I love that.
I'm not going to, I'll fist bump you because of out of respect, but in reality, that was not a paragraph to fist bump on, because at the time that was like 6 o'clock Wednesday night. Within 3 hours, I had hundreds of paragraph comments. You racist, you're white privilege, of course you think there's no such thing as oppression, you grew up with your dad owning businesses, you have it all, you think you know what it's like to grow up and be black in America, you think this, you think that, fuck you, you're an asshole. People that I went to high school with, that I make videos all the time about consciousness and positivity, and I'm going to teach you how to own your own business, and I'm going to teach you about the levels of consciousness. No one has ever watched one of those videos. None of my friends from high school, and now they're not my friends. None of my people I went to high school with, they're not my friends, honestly. People I went to high school with. Nobody watched my videos, and one paragraph, out of the woodworks. Like, people are like, what? You? Like, why you? Like, you're an Asian girl that was in math class. Why are you calling me an asshole? Like, what are you doing? Why? And then I made a list of people that I actually was friends with that wrote paragraphs, and I called every single one of them. And I just had conversations with them that night. And Jeffrey Combs called me like, yo, what is going on? And overnight, like, Lee's Hoagie House, like, you have to take that off. And it was the day after Drew Brees made a post, was on the news and said like something similar, and like got canceled. And so I got canceled. To the point where Temple TU Finest took a screenshot of it and sent it and posted it on their Instagram, and 12,000 people are their followers. There were hundreds of thousands of views on that post, and I got hundreds at the end. Before, when I deleted it, I had like 440 comments, and 90% of them are that.
And 10% were like
backing me up. No, I know Josh. He didn't mean what you're talking about. I understand what you're saying, but like that's not what he means. Like, I understand where you're coming from. Yes, this is a little like insensitive, or like, yeah. But when you understand consciousness at the level that you do, there really is. Because there really is no separation. I will on camera say I don't regret what I wrote or disagree with what I wrote. It is a highly conscious paragraph, and you won't understand it unless you understand consciousness. And it's not to say to make me any superior or better than anybody else. It's just something that I understand. And when you separate your feelings from the events that shape them, you'll understand that there's plenty of people that grew up in the fucking ghetto that are very successful today. And there's plenty of people that grew up with a beautiful life that are very broke today. And it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what you are. It doesn't matter whether you're white or black or Asian or rich or poor, or your parents have a business or not. I have a little sister. She's never worked a day in her life at Lee's Hoagie House, beside during COVID running out food because my dad needed her help. And I was never given any money from my dad. I was given so much opportunity, and that is a privilege for myself, but it doesn't mean I am privileged. It's not what that means. We all have privileges. Some people, Kanye West grew up in and I love his documentary, he grew up in not a great situation, but he had a privilege of being loved and tremendously by his mother.
Yeah.
And like, now he's successful. Is it because he's that? I mean, it's just because you got love. I got a lot of love in my life.
When I read that post, I felt a lot of love and a lot of love and a lot of consciousness, and it really came. Thank you for sharing.
That was a release.
Yeah. Thank you very much for sharing, and really, it was coming from a place of love and really trying to help people to understand, like, hey, it's about us taking our own ownership for our own thought processes.
Yeah, dude, that's.
I mean, there's no march. There was no leader. There was no, like, if Martin Luther King, if there was a march on the White House, I would have marched on the White House. But there was no love. There was no solution. there was the news, there was, we can go into this or not, but there's the agenda-fed news story that's like, you know, this is what's happening, but it's not about that. It's not about that. It's about us loving each other. Who cares what you are? Like, stop dividing us. We're all human beings. I don't care where the fuck you come from or what you are. I played football my whole life. In the restaurant industry, like, I think most of my employees are black and 50 years old and like from the hood, and I love them, and I took them to Sixers games. We had the best time. It's like so irrelevant to me, but I understand how it's relevant to other people because they get taught that, and I don't want to disregard anyone else's feelings. And I understand, but to me, it doesn't matter whether you're white or poor or black or your dad owns business or doesn't. A rich dad, poor dad, his dad didn't own a business, but his best friend's dad did.
Where I find that this is really interesting is like, you know where you came from on that post. There's a lot of other people that know where you came from. It was just the kind of the climate of what everything was going on in the time, and I think both of us believe, everyone here believes that everything happens for a reason. The universe does these things for a reason. So I'm sure to you this was like completely out of left field, and I understand a little bit, which I'd like to explain to the viewers is, Josh's dream before this, his whole life purpose was to own Lee's Hoagie House, the overall franchise.
Yeah, the whole franchise.
So he owned a couple stores, but he wanted to own. You wanted to own it all.
I even made them an offer February 2020. Met the founders of Jiffy Lube. The whole franchise in like the 80s. I met them at a franchise conference in the bathroom. Cool story. But we offered, we were making offers. I wanted to buy them and grow it all over the country. I believe Miami needs a fucking hoagie and cheesesteak place. I would have the sandwichery. It's great, but like, come on, man. Like,
so in that, you
dream shattered. Boom.
Wait, so the post is like just like, I mean, Evan's gonna share. What happened after the post?
So I remember, Josh and I were talking all the time. He was putting the process, putting all the pieces together on like how to buy this business.
Yeah, making a pitch book. Making talking so much about that.
The whole like thing was there. The pieces were coming together. Like Josh's dream of like his whole life was like coming to fruition, right? It was. And then how I really saw it was, and you saw it too, was like this post, like, basically had the whole of Philadelphia like extra you, like you literally got canceled. Like they were like, no, like people were boycotting your stores.
Yeah, like, don't go to Lee's Hoagie House. Let's drag this kid out to the streets. I'm gonna come to your store. I had people calling my dad's stores and telling them that they're gonna go shoot them up. I had people messaging my mom on Instagram, my sister on Instagram. You fucking assholes! Of course you think this. You like, no, the kid you grew up, you white privileged asshole. I had people leaving me voicemails. I had somebody fill out my coaching program that said their first name was UR, their last name was racist. And then they wrote "fuck you." Like people, 10 people did something of those variations. So it was very much like that.
And so for what it seems like, it also put a end to like those negotiations. They didn't want to sell the. So it seems like a combination of your whole business life dream, as well as your community around you.
Yeah.
So. It's obviously a tough experience. Can you talk about how that was emotionally, and then how you look at the experience today?
Sure. So I'll start off with just kind of the aftermath, and then I'll go into what happened and how I reflect on it now. However, within 24 hours, like everyone that cared about me, like called me, like, yo, like what's going on? Like what's going on? Like it was bad. Like random news websites, random Philadelphia this, like it was horrible. And so like I would go
news websites, like your thing was on news.
Yeah, like people would make blog posts about it, tag me, put my picture, tag the post, screenshot it, post it on Instagram, fuck this guy, hashtag boycott Lee's Hoagie House.
Oh.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
All within like 48 hours. That was Wednesday night. Okay. And so like I deleted it Thursday morning. Friday, I made a post, like, I'm so sorry, if that, and blah, blah, blah. And it took me a while, and my mom read it, make sure it was, like, good, and And then like that was Friday. Then we weren't work. We that was Thursday. I went to work, and like my manager's like Jason, who I love so much, and you know he was like, "Yo, I don't think we should be at work right now." Like I was actually scared somebody would come shoot me. So we closed up. I was like, "Yo, just take the weekend off. It's Thursday. Just take off." So I'm at home Saturday night, and I get a phone call from the president of Lee's Hoagie House, and I didn't answer it. I was kind of in my own depression. Within 2 hours, I get a letter that my franchise agreement's terminated.
Holy crap.
Saturday night. So I'm not allowed to operate a Lee's Hoagie House anymore. Which, like, why? Like, what? Like, you know me my entire life. You know my dad since he was in high school. Like, what? You know I want to buy them out, but they hate us. They do. Like, we always wanted to buy them out. They're old, whatever. I'm not going to go into that right now. But, yeah, so that was Saturday night. Sunday, I booked a flight to Miami, used all my points on my credit card, booked an oceanfront balcony room at the Royal Palm in South Beach. And I closed for a week. I just told everyone, you got the weekend off, just take the week off, I need to figure my shit out. And so I called all my mentors and everyone that I talk, you know, how I feel. And I was like, restaurants are 50%. Lee's Hoagie House hates me, so that's out of the question. Everyone hates me, so I don't want to be in Philly anymore. And what the fuck am I supposed to do? And I had a moment when I was meditating on the balcony in the morning at sunrise. And when I'm in Philly and it's fucking cold and miserable, I have to put meditation music on, like high frequency music, like, you know, make you feel good. I didn't have to do any of that here. I was on the balcony and all the sounds were around me. The ocean, the trees, the wind, and the sun was beating on my face, and I was like, oh, I have to be here. I have to be here. And so I stayed for the week. I made that on Friday night. I bought Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi's course on the Knowledge Broker Blueprint on how to create your own online course. I watched it and did it for the next week. The next day, I called all my employees one by one, and I had a meeting. That was Saturday. Sunday, I had a meeting at my store with all my employees, and I told them I'm closing my stores and I'm moving to Miami. And I love them all. I took some of them out to dinner. We were all crying. And I had guys drop out of college. I had people that were with me for like 4 years. Yeah. And so I found an apartment and left everything. Just locked my doors, hired a real estate broker, hired a cleaning service, cleaned my stores out. Me and my dad went there and cleaned everything out. And then like I left a bunch of shit, or like one fridge I forgot there was food in there and it was smelling. Like I had a cleaning service to go in there. And then, yeah, I gave one store up for nothing because my landlord sued me. And the other store I sold for $32,500. I bought one for $250 and one for $70, and received $32,500. So it's a negative 900% return on investment. But here we are today, and life is awesome. I look back on it, I was living in a lot of pride. I refer to my life in levels of consciousness. I was living in a lot of pride. I had everything that I wanted as a kid, and now I'm like, I'm 23 years old, I'm going to buy the whole franchise. I realize now it's unrealistic. I could have, yes. And I did have the professionals to help me, but like still, I just had a big head in that way. I wasn't egotistical, but I had an ego, and I was living in that pride. I wasn't highly conscious. I was, teetering between those levels of willingness to pride and back and forth. I was always studying consciousness, and I was still, doing personal development. And if you look at me from the outside, you probably think I'm highly conscious or worked on myself a lot, but like inside, I wasn't fulfilled. I was not a fulfilled being. So I had to share my viewpoints and try to change everybody else. Like, why do you live in anger? Come live in happiness. If you want to start your own business, watch my video. I'm going to teach you this. That. It wasn't my time. Now it's not my time. It's my time to be here, put my head down, do my shit, work my ass off, live a good life for Josh, and influence people along the way without having to talk about it. And one day, I already gave up on social media forever. I'm never going to have social media again. Whatever's next, like maybe, nobody's going to want to do seminars anymore. Like Tony Robbins, like no kid wants to go to a seminar. So like the next wave, like, I don't know, maybe I'll do like virtual reality seminars or whatever the fuck the next wave is or shit. Augmented reality, like, all right, cool, do a coaching conference and you're hieroglyphic. I mean, you're not your hieroglyphic, you're, what's it called?
hieroglyphic.
You're you're here, like, I don't know. But whatever it is, I'm out on sharing out what I'm doing, all my life, caring about what other people think about my life, just trying to teach anybody unless they ask me for advice or doing any of that. I'm just living for Josh right now.
Dude, that's
my experience.
Wow. Dude, that's nuts because...
And I'll never talk to anybody else in my hometown except for my one best friend, John. That's it.
Wow. Dude, like you said, like with the pride, like that's huge for like... I mean, yeah, how do you see the experience now after the time that's passed? Like, I understand.
That's how I see it.
Well, yeah, you said you stopped
using
social media.
It was meant to happen. I had to, God, through the universe, whatever, law of attraction, just threw everything. Like, no, Josh, you're not supposed to own this hoagie house. You're not supposed to be in Philadelphia. I'm going to throw you out from this little mountain that you think you're on, down to the valley, and I'm going to send you down to Miami so you can at least be in the sun and walk around with palm trees. But you're going to be miserable and you're going to have to start over. I'm going to take your entire ego and pull it out from underneath of you and throw it in the fucking trash. And you're going to have to start over again.
Wow. Dude, that's...
I came here and I was sober and celibate for 127 days. I was like, I have to just get this shit out of me.
Wow. Dude.
Are you still letting go of the experience?
Oh yeah. But I'm at a point of acceptance and understanding. I understand why it happened. Like if you say something, that's the response you're going to get based on the overall level of consciousness of the United States, especially at that moment. Like the people that understand it liked it.
Yeah.
Right, like when you told me, I'm like, dude, that's my man right there.
Right, but I mean, they liked it, right? Like when you if you made a paragraph and you would just write like good post or like just put a little thumb, like the Facebook like. But like if you don't, you're gonna write an angry paragraph.
Some people, I'm like you. I deleted social media as well. I fucking haven't used it for 2 years, I think, too. So I'm off of that stuff too. I mean, like just a waste of time, in my opinion, too.
Yeah.
So I resonate a lot with what you say. There. But yeah, I see what you're saying. People that choose to say negative things or that they don't like something, they are expressing those emotions that they aren't sitting with themselves.
And you're never going to be able to teach those people.
Yeah, until they learn themselves. Yeah. But man, dude.
It's spectacular what the universe does, man.
Yeah, bro.
It's a challenging experience.
And then I'm fucking sweating. I'm taking myself now.
Dude, I'm sweating too, man. This thing got intense.
I had the door open and then I was like, no, I'm going to close it because I know this from Jeffrey's seminars. Like, when you release the energy, you just ask me, you're still letting go. Like, yeah, I just let go right now. Like, my back is sweating. That is the release.
Yeah, no, I could tell. Like, when I attempted to fist bump you, like, I could see you were in the emotions. So, yeah. For sure.
No, that's done. It was just the ego. Like, that's not... Fuck you, Josh.
I mean, it's beautiful how the universe does it and pushes us through this growth.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's like anything that, like in my experience too, anything that I've refused to look at within myself, the universe will, everything that comes up that brings an emotion out of me, at this point, I see it as like the universe is showing me what I've been hiding. Mm-hmm. And dude, the smallest things, like whether I feel a little bit insecure about something with my girlfriend, I'm like, oh, she's hanging out with that person so that I can look at this emotion and see where it's tied from. And I've just been like grateful for any emotion that comes up from any experience. Because I understand that what my mind is telling me about it isn't the truth. Yeah. And it's really just sitting with myself and letting it go. Just like the book says, right?
Have you read, you said you read it a couple times, but the section in Letting Go by David Hawkins, if you don't have it already, get the book.
Yeah. Major key.
But understanding the anatomy of emotions. I believe it's the first section is the mechanism of letting go, and the second section is understanding the anatomy of emotions. That's really good.
He talks about
really great content.
Enlightenment, peace, like he goes through the calibrates them. And yeah, I saw that one a few times. I went through that one for sure. Yeah. It's cool because when he goes through it, I'm like, man, I've been at that one. Oh, I've been at that one too. Like, I've been at like a lot of them. Like, I think all of them.
Most people reach the levels for brief periods of time. I was talking about with Jeff today.
Yeah.
Most people have flashes of brilliance, and an example I always give is Nick Foles, the quarterback for the Eagles that won the Super Bowl. Like, he was in the league for 10 years, right? Like, never great. Like, won a Super Bowl for a year, broke records for a year, and like went back down. Like, managing a high level of success requires a lot of discipline. It requires a higher level of skills, habits, and mindset than most people are willing, accepting, or reasoning with. And so to be able to have that, of course, when you're in high school and you're on the soccer team or football team and you make that goal or throw that touchdown, like, that is a flash of brilliance. But to be able to do that at Tom Brady, to be like Tom, to do that all the time, requires a long time, repetition, and experience, or the 10,000 hour rule.
Discipline, baby.
Discipline.
And touching on that is like, so we were talking just before, we started recording about the different systems that we have. And I've noticed that I started implementing this new system of tracking and routine. And through this system, every morning I meditate and I do gratitude every single morning. And 2 weeks I dropped off my system and I stopped doing it. And man, I went into chaos, like personal chaos. And coming back into it, I just noticed this direct correlation between that discipline and being able to achieve these high level emotions.
Yes, absolutely. When anybody asks me about it, I always say it's like a GPS on your phone. Like, you have to have destination. You have to know where you're going. And you just have to put it in. And it's not a secret. Right? Tony Robbins always says success leaves clues. Like, success is not a secret. Just read Think and Go Rich and just follow what the fuck it says. And like, success is not a secret, so you can follow the system. How to be great at blank. Just Google it. It'll tell you.
Yeah.
Right? So like, for real. So you put that destination in, I want to be this, and you follow it. And if you take your eye off, right? Sometimes you might be driving and you're in the zone, you're not looking at the exits, and you miss it, and now you're off course.
Yeah.
And if you don't, back in the day, like, I don't remember this, I don't think any of us do, but you have to have an actual map. It's way harder. But today, as soon as you go off course, what does it do? It reroutes you.
Yeah.
But having a rerouting system is difficult. It's new. It's not hard, but it's a challenge because you have to surround yourself with people that will bring you back to course.
But also, I think the biggest thing for me is knowing the destination.
Yes.
So a lot of times in life, people start with what, and as Simon Sinek has written, start with why.
Start with why.
It's like, that's been the most powerful thing for me, because before I knew my why, like if I don't have a very strong why, I can get super lost in the what. And then it's like, great, you like end up reaching this destination, like, what the fuck, I just drove myself into a garbage yard. Correct. And it was like a really smelly ride the whole way there, but I got where I wanted to go, but it just stinks here, right? Whereas like, if you really just take, before you start driving, before you plug in that destination, taking that time, saying like, why do I get up every day and live my life? And really understand it. Maybe it's not the like business success or the stuff that society tells us that we think we want. Maybe we get a little deeper and we're like, hey, like, actually I don't give a shit about any of that stuff that I thought I was working towards.
Correct.
It's leading me to that garbage yard. Like, there's a really nice something else over here.
You just change the destination.
That's relationships, that's creativity, that's whatever is important. But I think that has been one of the most important things for me, is looking at that and really understanding why I live my life.
Yes. Yeah, why is strong.
What's your why, Josh?
My why is connected to that pain. My why is so I can be the best that I can be, and I don't have to deal with my parents. That's the drive. I don't have to ask them for that. That's what the original drive is. That was the why, and everything started when you go through the levels. When you go through the 7 layers deep. You ever do that? Why do you want it? Because a lot of people want.
You got to keep asking yourself.
Right, why?
Yeah.
Right. Like that is, and most people might look at that and be like, oh, that's kind of fucking depressing. But like the reality is when you say like why do you want to do it? Of course, my real why at the top is to inspire young people to be able to do anything that they want in their life if they put their mind to it, because they can, regardless of where they come from or what their situation is or their education experiences or genetics. None of that matters. As long as you have the system and the plan. Or Jim Rohn says you need the opportunity, a mentor, and he says you have to live in America. So, but
Josh, I feel like you're gonna end back up on social media.
I'm not this social media.
No, but yeah, you said it could take a different form, but like I really do see you having a huge impact, and sometimes maybe something for you to consider is maybe there's resistance to it because of like the traumatic experience that you had a couple years ago. But I think it's coming for you, and you're gonna use these platforms in a beautiful way to transcend.
We'll see. I can't predict the future, but I'm happy with just doing my thing right now. Yeah.
So back to the why.
Yeah.
You
have to go
just give us the deepest why. Like take like if you need a few seconds.
That is the deepest why.
So give us like.
Or could we go through the why thing with you?
Sure.
Like maybe like why did you want to do the restaurant?
Yeah, let's go.
I'll start from, and you guys just ask me why, and I'll keep going.
Would it be the franchise thing, or where are you gonna start?
No, I'm gonna start from where I start from.
Yeah. So Josh, why?
Why do I do what I do? Because I want to be super successful. Why?
Yeah, why?
I want to be super successful because I want to live a good life. Why? Because I deserve to live a good life, because that's what I deserve. And why do you deserve to live a good life? Because I work my ass off. Why? So I can inspire young people to understand that and have belief in themselves that they can do anything. It doesn't matter. And you can also have your whole dream, have it take out of you and still be more successful 2 years later. Also, you can think you want to own these OES or think you want to go to MLB and go play minor leagues and then get washed out and then have a business and be successful, whatever the fuck that is for you. Like that's really, and you can tell, like I can tell consciously from the transcendental consciousness state right now that I am, that like the passion in my voice when I say that is different than the other ones, right? Like I'm very passionate about that. Like I really want to be like, come on, like you can fucking do it. Just like go outside and practice the footwork. Go shoot the free throws. Go study this book. Go do that. And you can at 12, 13, 15 years old and build the skills. So like that's that. But why do I want to do that? Because I have that in me and my sister doesn't. And why? Because we had our parents divorced. And I don't want her to have to, she responded totally different. And why? Because she was younger and she didn't really understand what was going on. And again, why do I want to have the success tie it all? Because I don't want to have to deal with any of that. I'm not responsible for her. I love her so much and I try to teach her as much as I can. But I also don't want to have to deal with, I don't want to have to ask them for anything or rely on them for anything. I want to be the best Josh I can be. I want to be self-sufficient, self-starter, independent, working for myself, by myself, and being able to be the best highly conscious person I can be. And if you believe in a collective consciousness, then that's enough. Like to be a very highly conscious person inspires thousands and tens of thousands of people that are not. It's powerful to be a conscious being. The one person that lives in love makes up for 12,000 people that live in fear.
So why do you want that? Why
I want that because I deserve that. And we could do it, and it'll go back to the same thing.
Gotcha.
Why? Because that's what I believe our purpose is as human beings.
Gotcha.
To transcend.
So your deepest why is to help inspire others to be their highest and true self.
Yes. And to expose people to this stuff. Like Most people, it's not their fault. And Jim, you guys listen to How to Not Be Broke, Stupid, and Ugly by Jim Rohn ever?
No.
It's awesome, you should. But like, in the beginning, he says, imagine you had a friend named John, and John walks out of a 12-story building and lands flat on his face and dies. And you go to him and you're like, yo, why did John walk out of the building? And you're like, he didn't know he shouldn't walk out of the building. He should know. John, you're supposed to know. But if you don't know, you're gonna get hurt. If you don't know, you're gonna get hurt. So it's important that you know the information. It's important that you understand the information. It's important that you start working on personal development, to start being exposed to consciousness and personal development, and to understand life and to people and the anatomy of emotions and where your strengths and weaknesses are, and that shit is important because you should know, so you don't get hurt. So that when you do get in a fight with your girlfriend, that you don't get hurt and you don't hurt her. And that you understand self, and you understand life, and you're okay, and live in acceptance and love, and everything is what it is. People ask me all the time, why? It's just what it is. They like, everyone at work, like, someone will ask me something, and someone else will respond, it is what it is. Like, what'd you do this weekend? I always say a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Like, I don't communicate the way that most people do. You don't need to. Just everything is the way it is.
It's interesting with the why thing that you did, though, because... And I'll share my experience. Dude, I was like with my dad too. He had a restaurant, and so growing up, and he had a steakhouse in New York. Cool. And so when I was a kid, I would see him look, he was like he was sick, so he would lay down and like look at his cameras and whatever.
I'm just checking out to see that we're good.
Good? Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm just seeing that we're good with like battery and that sort of stuff.
Gotcha.
So how much time we got?
Yeah, what's the time? What's the time?
We're at 13% battery and we're at 57 minutes. So I think
yeah, cool. Let's do like 5-10 more minutes. Yeah. So as a kid, I would see him like laying down on the couch looking at the cameras where he would watch his employees. He had like 40-50 employees in the restaurant, like really nice steakhouse. So as a kid, like he would tell me, oh, one day you'll be like me. One day you'll be sitting down and watching all your workers and me making money doing nothing. Yeah. Making money doing nothing. So I saw that, I was like, man, like my dad's a badass. Like I want to be like him. Like my whole childhood, dude, I wanted to be like my dad. Yeah. And so when I was 15, he passed away from cancer. He was sick when I was like 8 to 15. So that was like a big pain, right, as a kid, and like all the stuff I went through with him and all that. But anyways, when Evan met me, probably right before, I realized that like up until I met Evan, I was like so like, man, I need money. I need to be successful in business. That's what my whole life depends on. Like if I don't succeed in business, I might as well die is what I used to say. Like if I don't succeed, I die. Like that. Like I all in, like want it as bad as you fucking breathe. That's what I said type shit without watching that guy. Like I was so all in.
But living in force.
Living in force and fear and like shame and guilt, like the lowest of the, but I was struggling and forcing it. Hardcore force. Before I met Evan, I had already been doing some Joe Dispenza for a few months, and I had this realization like, man, I could just be happy now. Why am I waiting until I succeed, right? Yeah. So when I had that realization, I started manifesting. Met him, he's an incredible person. I met my girlfriend, all these people that are into spirituality. But what I realized from asking the why thing is like, okay, why did I want to make so much money? And I would ask myself, dude, it was just to be happy. Like that was the core. Like even helping people. Like I had a life coach. Like, man, I want to help millions of people. I want to, like you said it, like so much passion. Like I don't really care about the real estate. I want to help millions. I want to do this. I asked myself, why do I even want to do that? Like, dude, I just want to fucking be happy. Like that's it. That's the core of the core. Why do I want to be happy? There's nothing else. Like what else can I say after that? So that
was interesting because I noticed this as well when we first were together. It was you were so into the business at first, and then you let go of the business, and you found happiness in spirituality and like helping people, but then you got attached to that.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're like, oh, that's, and then you're like, forget the business, that's bad, this is it.
Yeah. I want to help people, I want to be this guru, this fucking speaker.
And then you let go of that, and now actually there's a good amount of balance. You can do the business and find fulfillment, and then you start creating some attachment. Like, oh, now I can like actually do the personal growth and personal development in the business. So kind of morph the two, but there might even been a bit of attachment to that
for sure.
So it's just an interesting thing. I think there's this. It's like with David Hawkins, like letting go constantly though, right?
It's constant.
Because even the love and the happiness, like if we get attached to that, then we're chasing this thing. We're like chasing it. We're behind the ball. We're on the hamster wheel. Like, but when we let go, I really feel like I'm letting go right now. It's a beautiful sensation.
Yeah,
I'm always letting go.
It's just
Jeffrey taught me to always let go and take deep breaths.
Let it go.
As I went and finished the story, I took a deep breath. You know, I release a lot every time I take a deep breath. It's important. Most people don't, and then they live up here. They live in the upper half of their body. They live in their head. And they live in left brain, and they're not open to receiving. That's why it's important to know. You have to know these things.
So the last thing that for the viewers, what is letting go? How do you do it? Like, what's the
letting go is being able to separate the cause that creates the effect of why you do what you do. Being able to separate feelings from past events. Being able to break down the anatomy of your emotions so you can understand the cause of the emotion, because most people think and believe, and we get taught today, that you have pain in your body because of bodily situations. But it's found that 90% of all dis-ease is really linked to the mind. And so letting go is being able to understand the mind-body connection between your feelings and the events, but also being able to separate those feelings and to know. And at Jeffrey Combs events, he has everybody say, I am no longer the mind-body connection to the events that shape my feelings. I am no longer the mind-body connection to the events that shape my feelings. I am separating the cause that creates the effect of why I do what I do. When you understand why you do what you do, your life will change.
To me, letting go is I appreciate the book where letting go is like our natural default state is these high vibrational, right, love and acceptance and peace. Like that is where we are, but we have these repressed and suppressed emotions through traumatic events in our childhood and our life that creates all this shit and junk, stress that blocks those high vibrational.
Correct.
So me letting go is the easiest and simple technique that I found is actually even accepting the low level emotions, like actually feeling those. So sometimes there's resistance behind it. It's like, I'm feeling fearful. I can't feel fearful. I need to feel love. Like, and then it's just then you're feeling fear of the fear.
Yeah.
So it's just observing the fear.
Yeah, you have to sit with it.
Sit with it. Be there with it. Accept it.
Yes.
Love it. Be okay with it. Understand that it's here for a reason and it's part of the human anatomy and it's beautiful. And when you just sit, when I just sit and I observe it, just like a mist, it just...
Yeah, you release it.
Release it.
And in one word, letting go is release.
It's release. Yeah. And then from there, because our natural default is love and peace, when that dissolves, that's just what we're left with when we open our eyes. And we walk down the street and it's like, the sun
ties into transcendental consciousness and meditation. Like inner silence is pure consciousness. And that is the unified field. The pure consciousness is the inner silence of no thoughts, no mantra, no nothing. Just you being with a capital B. Self with a capital S.
It's powerful. Yeah. takes courage to let the feeling be there and fully allow it. It takes courage. Yeah.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. That was cool.
Yeah, got intense, man. Wow. That was great.
A lot of growth here, a lot of letting go. We appreciate you coming on and sharing, like, especially that story. I know that I can feel that that's a big growth experience for you, being able to share that experience. So,
thank you for giving me the space to share it.
You're welcome. Very powerful. Took a lot of courage to do that. So
thank you.
Proud of you.
I required it and deserved it. That release. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Let's hug it out, man.
Cool. Thank you.
Let's go.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it. Great connecting with you for sure.